Hey everyone, this is my run on Kane's intersecting wheels back-to-back Lufenia Plus, and this run is going to be a no boss turn run and also a no friend unit run. As you can see, I don't actually have a friend support unit equipped, featuring the, in my opinion, very powerful combo of Shadow and Cloud of Darkness. So just very quickly about the setup, I have Shadow with base high armor. My Cloud of Darkness is fully MLB'd and maxed out. She's green with her blue armor, and my Bartz also is green BT+. So the idea behind this team is to just have Shadow taking multiple turns, and therefore he can actually uptick the orb when he uses his wall throw, which is a ranged damage dealing skill, and that will also trigger the follow-up lasers from Cloud of Darkness. Bartz's role, as always, is there as an aurabot support, and he also provides the very important Wind Elemental Imperil and Enchant, mainly because at 79% the bosses will get a blue aura that grants them magic resistance, which will significantly cut Cloud of Darkness's damage output, unless you can do some sort of Elemental Enchant and Imperil to bypass the magic resistances. So this run will be somewhat tight because Shadow is the only ranged damage dealer in my party. Of course, if you have a Kane friend support, that Kane can handle the orb all by himself and orb wouldn't be an issue. But I found out very early on that you don't actually even need Kane. Shadow himself provides enough damage to kill off the bosses before the orb explodes. Thankfully, the orb only appears at 79% HP. So from the start of the battle, when the orb isn't there, the idea is to try to complete setup as quickly as possible. This includes using Maria LD Call and Kurasame base and LD Call to inflict their HP damage up debuffs, and I put a Jack LD Call on Shadow as well to inflict his defense down. And I also take the opportunity to ramp up Bartz's BT Plus to 3 stacks, hopefully before the orb appears. Alright, the orb has appeared right as I'm about to get to Bartz's turn, so here I'm going to complete my ramp up by having Bartz use his additional ability followed by his missile to land an additional defense down debuff on the bosses. So now that setup is complete, I'm going to go into BT mode with Cloud of Darkness. I use her LD beforehand just to get an additional 5 stacks of her overhead, which is quite important. It allows you to use another zero form particle beam during her BT mode. So this is where Cloud of Darkness truly shines, when she still has a healthy amount of BT aura and a lot of overhead stacks. You can then use her zero form particle beam during BT mode to deal insane amounts of damage all the way to the end. Now that BT mode is over, I'm about to pop summon. I'm just finishing up Cloud of Darkness with a free turn so that I don't have to waste a free turn during summon mode. Before I pop summon, I just use Maria's base call to uptick both orbs by 1 count, and I finish off with Cloud of Darkness using her EX on her free turn. The reason why I use Shiva summon here is mainly for the new debuff that Shiva can land. Throughout the fight, the bosses will battery themselves multiple times. Most notably, also at I believe 59 and 19%, the bosses will battery themselves. So if you manage to land Shiva's debuff here, it acts in the same way as Setzer's Freeze Joker, and you can then prevent the brave gains from the bosses. During summon is where I try to uptick the orb a little bit when Shadow gets his turn. Do not use his S1 even if you run out of his buffs. You don't really need the buffs that his S1 provides, since you have Bartz providing a lot of auras. His S1 is a melee attack and will not uptick the orb, and at this point you really want to use as many range attacks as you can from Shadow to uptick the orbs as much as possible. Alright, so summon mode has ended. I've landed the Shiva freeze debuff on the bosses to prevent brave gains. And this is where I go ham with Shadow's LD. I only used his LD once so far, and so he has another 3 more uses. Shadow's LD is pretty good because it doesn't take up any turn count, and it also gives him an additional 2 more turns that also does not take up turn counts as well. So this is why you can keep the turn count relatively low. So from here on, I'll just be chaining his LD and his free wild throws consecutively and bring the bosses as low as possible that way. If you're using Shadow, make sure to also alternate between the bosses because his attacks are single target, and you need to alternate turns so that you can continuously uptick both orbs together. A little bit about alternatives while I'm going through Shadow's LD wild throw rotation. If you don't have Shadow, another great candidate to consider is Tidus. Tidus is also a good turn hogger, and I believe his follow-up is also considered ranged and will be able to uptick the orb in a similar manner. As for Bartz, you don't really need Bartz per se, but if you don't have Bartz, you want a very good aura support character, or maybe someone like Setzer, and you also need to give that person the Kurasame call so that you can have the Ice Enchant up on the party. Otherwise again, Cloud of Darkness's damage will start to suffer when the blue aura is up. And lastly, you don't really need Cloud of Darkness here. I use her mainly due to her high damage during her BT mode to reduce the turn count. The best replacement for Cloud of Darkness is actually a Kain unit, and you don't even need to main party Kain. You can just use Kain as a support unit and hog all the turns with Shadow. That way the Kain support unit should last a very long time, possibly to the end of the fight as well. Anyway, coming back to the fight, I've run out of LD with Shadow, so unfortunately I need to start increasing the turn count again. At this point, it's really just a race to the finish. All you really want to do is continue damage as much as possible, making sure to always use Wild Throw or EX with Shadow if you need to refresh his overhead. You can see the turn count is starting to get low, but I managed to actually finish off the bosses before the orb explodes. Alright, that's it for this run. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do like the content, do leave a like, comment or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next Lufenia fight. Bye!